Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 135, I had Fatima Oliver on the podcast. She is the author of The Prescription is in the Dirt. We had a very interesting and enlightening conversation about how she came up with the book. We also talked about her time in education, how she basically started at the age of 37. And yeah, now she is a proud recipient of an MBA. And we also talked about how can I say, her trial by fire, basically doing her first half marathon. She is a very interesting lady, and I'm sure she's going to help a number of people out there. So please sit back, enjoy the podcast, and yeah, please don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend. Have a great day, guys, and enjoy the show. Yeah, peace.
Yes.
Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 135, I have the immense pleasure of having Fatima Oliver on the podcast. Now, I got to say, this young lady, whoo, how can I say? She is one to rise to a challenge and keep on trucking. Like, yeah, she is an author, recently graduated with an MBA in 2020. Congratulations. Fatima, how are you today?
I am doing very well. You have woken me up, so I am good, meanwhile.
You know what? I do appreciate you're here at this time. Like for me here in the UK, oh, happy Good Friday, by the way. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, for me in the UK, it's like, yeah, just 11:30 in the morning. For you over in the States, it's what time?
6:30 in the morning. Yes.
God in heaven. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to say, like, yeah, I'm reading through all the stuff, what's gone on in your life. Like, you have had some challenges, you've like risen to them, and like adversity, which you've kept pushing through. But I also got to say, like, sometimes it seems like the universe has a little bit of a sense of humor with you
Uh-huh.
with regards to certain things. Because look, you are the only girl out of five brothers, right? And like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like you could have brought a little bit of balance into this, but you're a mother of how many?
Four boys.
Four boys. Uh, uh, you are just like, you've got enough for a basketball team on
Yeah.
both sides of your family.
I agree. I agree. And I said the same thing when the last child and the doctor said it was a boy. Me and my mom were like, nope, nope, recheck. That can't, nope, you're wrong. We're telling the doctor, nope, you're wrong. Because
Oh my.
it can't be. Yeah. Yes, four
Yeah,
boys.
but I've got to say I'm very impressed still because look, um, you could have been like, yes, I'm a mother of four, and I'm gonna leave it at that, and like you know, what I mean, do my work when I need to and everything like this. But you went to like you enrolled to the University of Phoenix, and then you just were like going, okay, I'm going to school pretty much for the whole of the last decade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. I think I'm one that just enjoys a challenge. It invigorates me, and I always wish that I would have went to college in when I first got out of high school. But it really was one of those things where I fell in love, and I didn't want to leave because I would have left him, and so it was definitely something that was in the back of my head that I wanted to give to my mom. She always asked me to go back to school,
Mm.
and so to be able to do that, and I think I was like 30. I had to be around 36, 37 when I started, and I started with my associates, and then I went back for my bachelor's, and then eventually to my master's. But I just really enjoyed I enjoyed the fact that I was able to still exercise my brain in that way. and I'm planning to go back. In about maybe 3 4 months, I'll be going back and signing up to. I think I'm going to study psychology, something in that realm. I just like learning, and I love to be able to be an example for my boys that there is no excuse to not being able to learn something, especially me and my deteriorated brain. It's like if I can do it, there is no excuse. And I love to be able to have that common ground to some degree, to be
Yeah.
able to even express meanwhile that I've gotten a bad grade. And I have definitely had those conversations where it's like, oh my God, I tried so hard and I got a bad grade. And so that my kids can see that, wow, it's not just me that struggles with school, that mom struggles with school. But on the other hand, I have had it to where I was trying to teach my son, the elementary kid, something, and I was like, I do not know. And he said, what do you mean you don't know? You've been in like every grade, how you don't know? So I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. Tell me. He said, how you don't know? You've been in every single grade there is.
Yeah, no,
So
but,
it's
but
really
like, you should tell them, you should tell you that, look, but there's been a healthy chunk of time for, like, when I was there to hear. And
yeah,
plus, in some regards, some of the things how they teach kids today is so different to how, like, I learned, like, most really you learned as a child
yeah.
yourself. So it's like, yeah, you do the math, you do it this way, and you're like, oh no, you don't, you do it this way, and they're looking at you like, are you crazy? It's like,
Yes, it is so true. And yeah, it's like you can finish math in like 5 minutes based on how you learned, but how they learn,
mm,
God, it takes like a good 20 minutes. So that's a whole good brain exercise in itself. So, but yeah, I'll definitely be going back. And I just enjoy being able to have that commonality with my children and being able to teach them that you never give up. It doesn't matter what age. If you want to do something, go do the dang thing. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
oh no, no, I like, this is one of those things. It's just, I'd like to get an idea of how, like, who you are more as a full person, because like this is the whole thing. You went back at to like study again at 37. What was like one of the sort of challenges you didn't expect to have then?
Shoot, it was just thinking on a different level. You get so used to conforming to whatever it is you need to learn at work,
Mm.
and then you pretty much master it, right? And then sometimes you even find yourself getting bored. And then you have the way that you have built your home to run. And so you don't have a lot of sometimes advanced thinking. And so then you get into this space where you don't own the rules, you don't create the rules, you have to fall in line. And so there was a structure that was there as far as communicating 3 4 times a week, and being able to determine when I was going to do my assignment, and if it was a long assignment, what time I was going to carve into my life to be able to do that. So it definitely took an adjustment. It wasn't just for me, it was the entire family. When I would graduate, they would graduate too, because it really was a commitment for the entire family. They weren't doing the work, but they had to leave me alone so that I could do the work. And I couldn't go and hang out and do date nights with my husband sometimes because I had an assignment. So it definitely was an adjustment. But at the same time, when it was time for me to graduate, we were all excited, and it was a family celebration. So it's just it's just a new a journey, a new adventure. I really think that everybody, especially if you like being challenged and your job is kind of not challenging you, do something different, shake up your world so that you can get that satisfaction that your soul, your spirit is yearning for. If you are naturally an adventurous person and you're looking in one spot to get that excitement and that satisfaction from, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You got to find something. So I also like to do mud runs, and I did a half marathon in the pandemic. I don't know why I did that, but I did a half marathon for the first time. in my entire life. And I was supposed to be doing it with a group of people. And then the coronavirus happened, and I had to train by myself and make myself keep running when I didn't want to. And I did the half marathon by myself. And so it was both lonely, it was adventurous, it was crazy, it was cool, it was all of those things. It was torturous, but it was also accomplishing. It was just a beautiful mess at the end of it. And will I do it again? Not by myself, I won't.
I could imagine. Like, wait, Columbus, Ohio. What?
Yeah.
Like, when did you do the half marathon? Was it around about December or November time?
It was November. Yeah, it was November of last year because it was just about to get really cold. And so it was actually 40 degrees when I was out there running. And that was, but I trained during the summertime.
Oh yeah.
So when I went out there to actually, by the time I had gotten through all the miles to where I was ready to actually just do it was cold out there. And so my body, I'm older. I said older, but my joints, my body, it just didn't act the same. So I never really got warmed up. Like in the summer, your muscles just get good, and they start working really loosely and wonderfully. Well, when it was 40 degrees, I did, and this was the day. I never got to that place where I was truly warmed up. So it was a bit torturous. By the time I got to mile 8, I was really in a place where I just wanted to really get it over with. And so it became truly a true mind over matter type of situation. And so I still had those 5 miles to get through. And I must have prayed so much and I was ready to cry. And by the time I got to mile 11, is when around 11, 11 and a half is really when I broke down, and I barely could run anymore, and my bottom of my feet were hurting, and I started crying, and I even called my husband and I was like, I want you to come get me, come get me.
So,
And he was like, you got yourself in this mess.
you're on your own.
Yeah, and but I was crying and I said, I can't take another step. And he actually came to get me. And I got in the car and
Oh no.
I got in the car and I felt so defeated. And I was like 2 miles away from the house. And when we got to the house, I said, let me out. And he let me out and I finished the last 2 miles. And so it wasn't a perfect run. It was a messy run. It was a painful run, but that's just how life is, right? And I was able to somehow pull it out of me from my toes, from my toenails. I pulled out the strength to say, no, you are not a quitter, Fatima. And even though you feel like you want to quit on yourself, you are not a quitter. Your mama did not raise a quitter. Get your butt up, get out that car, and you finish them last 2 miles. And that is also the type of mindset I take into my life. And I was raised that way. I grew up with a single mother in a home full of boys, and my mama didn't have time for catering. And to some point, there was a disservice because I didn't really get any type of understanding in regards to expressing my emotions and my feelings until I was well into my 40s, which I think was a bad thing because we need to learn how to effectively handle our emotions and express our feelings. But overall, as far as learning how to have grit and learning how to have, you don't quit type of attitude, you better crawl your butt through if you have to. That's where I got it from. And so I've always had that thing on the inside of me that no matter what happens in my life, it may break me down. And I may feel like I can't walk another step, but then I better figure out a way to crawl through it. And I'm grateful that from my lineage that I've been able to capture that piece of my family. And as we say it in Nevada, I'm just going to tell you, we say it in I was a Smith before I became an Oliver. We say it in the Smith family. My mama didn't raise no punk, so I ain't no punk. So I get it done.
Uh,
Okay.
no, like this is the thing. I wouldn't say punk comes into your vocabulary because look, the reason why I sort of like putting an emphasis on you going back to like school at the age of 37 and like basically pushing through, not just getting one to like going all the way up to your masters, like getting your MBA, is because look, you've got not, and it's not like you've like got, I've got a kid, which that would be tough enough. It's like, and let's just say you don't have two kids, which would be even tougher. You got four kids and a husband. So, you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
is not an easy task to take on. And basically, when you were saying putting aside some like time for them and basically putting aside date nights for you and your husband, just trying to make sure when you graduate, you all graduated together and basically being able to show them the struggle it takes to
yeah,
do this task, to do this operation. It's not a case of it comes overnight. It is about like tears, blood, and sacrifice.
yeah.
To instill that sort of lessons, it's very impressive. And like, you know what I mean? The grit you can't, like the grit you mentioned, I think it's one of those things which is like written deep within your DNA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful for that. I do think as grateful as I am to that, that there's also a side. There's many people who are built that way, right? And sometimes it's the fact that you've grown up so underprivileged that
Mm.
it just brings that survival um attitude, out of you. And that's truly because you've been surviving your entire life.
Yeah.
And I grew up in an atmosphere like that where we were just surviving our entire life. We were, my mom was surviving every day. I'm sure she was just like taking a deep breath that I made it.
Mm.
And it was tough for her being a single parent. And so um, growing up in an underprivileged neighborhood, we called it the hood, growing up in that type of an atmosphere where nothing is given to you. You have to earn it. You have to figure it out. You grow up with that survival mindset that no matter what, I'm going to overcome it because you're always told no, right? You're
Mm.
never looked at as you're going to be something. And so you have that mindset. You either have the mindset of my life is already defeated, or you have the mindset of I'm going to prove you wrong. And so in either way, though, that you can go either way, there's an emotional component to it that I believe is pretty similar, of that you've gone through some tumultuous or some tragic or some horrible heartbreaking things, and you have to put that aside and to believe whatever it is that you're going to believe. You don't really tap into the emotional aspect of it, but you just make a mental decision that this is how my life is going to go. My life is going to be a defeated mess, or my life is going to be a conquering thing, that example that I can show other people that you were wrong about me. But there's an emotional component, I believe, that we have to step over to a degree to get where we want to go. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't go back and deal with that emotional aspect. And
Mm.
so from the outside, we look either like we crazy, or like we ain't got it all together, that we a mess and we don't care about our life, or we look like so successful and that we are making it happen and we are a baller and all this stuff. And so people perceive our outward appearance as who we are, when they and that's because we've shielded that emotional aspect. Meaning, if I was, for me, I looked like I was a success. I was always getting the job. I would go and prep myself and get the and watch whatever. I go to temporary agencies and let them teach me how to go to an interview, and I would take the typing test and try to get my skills up. Even though I grew up in a place where I didn't really have that availability, I would go to the library and take up the free resources to try to teach myself. And I would go in looking poised, and I knew how to give a firm handshake, and I knew how to have eye contact, and I would get the job, and then I would get elevated, and then I would get promoted. And so my life from the people who grew up with me looked like it was a success, that I got everything that I wanted.
Mm.
And but on the inside of me, I was broken because I never dealt with the traumatic situations that had happened to me growing up. And so I learned to be a poised mess, is what I call it. that on the inside I was insecure, and on the inside I felt unworthy, and I dealt with anxiety and depression, and I struggled to not take my own life on a regular basis. And I lived every day stressed and wondering if I was making the mark, whatever the mark was. I was wondering if I was hitting it. And I was always striving for more, but I didn't even really know what I was striving for. I just was striving and afraid, and having horrible money management skills, because I grew up in a place where we didn't really have money. So whenever we got money, we would buy a bunch of stuff and put it in our house so that when we didn't have money, we would be okay. We would have enough food and all this stuff. So when I had money, I would spend, and I would have so much food in my house, and my husband would be like, "What's going on?" And I couldn't keep money in the bank because my mentality was still that of somebody who was struggling. And so the outward appearance, as although it looked wonderful, on the inside I was so broken because I never knew how to process any of the events that had occurred to me, and and the emotional aspect of whatever that was that I survived. So I've been in an abusive I was abused as a child, physically and sexually abused as a child. And I have burns on my body, on 25% of my body, where at 2 years old there was an accident, a hot water heater accident, and I got burned. And so as at 2 years old, I was learning cruelty from people who would look at my feet and be like, cover up your feet. And I learned to be sad because I had to learn to eat, walk, and talk all over again. And so I had this cloud of sorrow that was over me from 2 years old all the way through. And then at 11 years old, I was sexually abused. And before that, in between 2 and 11, I was physically abused by a stepfather. So I grew up with this cloud of sorrow following me. And although on the outside I looked so superior, if you even want to say, to those I grew up with, I
Mm,
looked superior in that I had it all together. Success, whatever success looked like in their eyes, and even in my eyes, I had those things. But on the inside, I was so broken because I never stopped to process any of the horribleness that had happened in my life. And now I'm talking from somebody who was seemingly successful, who, like you said, went to school, got my master's degree, did all these things, and got my bachelor's and all this stuff, and raised 4 boys and got a husband who's awesome. I was broken in those times. But now think about the people in your family, or folks that you know, or friends that you may have, who seem to be on the road and they could be so much more, but they drink too much,
mm,
or they always be popping off at the mouth and doing crazy stuff. And you're like, dude, what's wrong with you? They may have the same type of issues that I had. It's just they're expressing it differently. I had that striving mentality, and they have self sabotage type of mindset.
mm. Yeah, like this is the thing. Like with all of the things you say, it like in some respects you were putting on the front for quite a lot. It seems like for quite a lot of your sort of development, with going like using the resources you could to sort of like move yourself up, like using the library, using like going to agencies, basically getting the sort of acquired skills to lift yourself up. But it was like kind of a front, I would say, to the world and maybe to yourself, like to go, yeah, I am doing well, I am doing great. But
Yeah.
as you say, you're broken inside. Like with with regards to the sort of accident you had, I think it was with a bath. Basically, like one of your brothers was trying to prepare a bath and like they didn't check the temperature it was correct, and that burnt your feet. With that kind of thing, and with that, and basically being physically abused and then sexually abused, it, it must be it must have been kind of hard to sort of know where your relationship was with some men while you were growing up.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Uh, would you be able to tell me like how you sort of like managed to get around to going from one like point, whatever point that was, to where you consider healthy now?
Yeah. It was shoot, it was such a difficult struggle. And there's a saying that you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't have a good compass in regards to men. My father, my biological father, was not in my life.
Mm.
And he had struggles with alcohol and drugs, primarily drugs. And so primarily the hard stuff. And
It's okay. Ah,
yeah, he was
hello.
he
Would
was,
you?
he was tore up. He was tore up. And
Okay.
so and his we've since talked. And so his mindset or his position was he never wanted me. I was his only girl, and he never wanted me to see him in that state. So that meant I never saw him. And so for me, my experience was he just simply was not there. And so with not having any type of positive male role model, at least for the more impressionable years of my life, I didn't even realize that I needed it, honestly. I was used to being around women and taking on the mindset of women. So however way they relationships went is what I learned. If their
Okay.
relationships were sour and it was like you can't trust no man, then my mindset was don't trust men, right?
Mm.
And so growing up, but I also was in a situation where my home life was a bit tumultuous at times. And so when I did meet someone who gave me the attention that I felt that I had never experienced before, because it was all it's at that point was negative, always negative when it came to a man. And there was always, it seemed like you want the candy little girl and then just switching the hand, right? So when I met a guy that seemed to be genuine and say that he loved me and touched my shoulder the right way and stood up for me against my family even, I was like head over heels in love. And unfortunately, he was someone who would later on go on to abuse me in my marriage. And so I wound up going from one tumultuous situation to another tumultuous situation. And so we were married for 9 years. We were together 12 years. And so for those first 3 years of dating, he never lifted a hand up against me. He never even raised his voice to me. I never once saw any type of indication that he was abusive, but I did see that he was a womanizer. And because I was so fixated on the affection and the words that he spoke to me, because no male had ever spoken those words to me or
Mm.
treated me in that way, I completely disregarded the fact that he was a cheater. And I married him with my eyes open that he was a cheater. And I married him. And so for 9 years, he cheated on me, but he also beat me. And so I was in a relationship for 9 years where I was abused by my husband. And I also want to say that I really think it had to do with the fact that the reason why I stayed so long is I saw my mom abused. I was abused as a child by my stepfather, and somehow in my head I believed that that was a sign of love. And so if he wasn't raising his hand up against me, he didn't love me or something. So when I did leave him finally, and I got my mindset of this is not normal. I
Mm.
don't know what normal is yet. I have no idea what normal is, but I do know that I have a child. And I do know that I don't want to go through this anymore. And I do know that I'm so exhausted. I'm tired of all of this. My faith was central, and I would say, God, help me get out of this. And when I did find the strength to be able to walk away from the relationship after 9 years of being married, and what is that, 11 years together, 9 to like no 12 years together,
Mm.
I left him. I still wound up going into a relationship where it wasn't physically abusive, but it was emotionally abusive. So when I finally got to a place where I met my husband, who was an awesome guy and who was completely like, he is just like, he's so meek and so I'm the extrovert, he is so an introvert. And he's so different. And he's so different from any type of guy that I had ever been with. But that was also problematic for me because I didn't know what normal was. So I went from a home where I had been since I was two, 5, 6, 7, 11, physically abused,
Mm.
strapped to chairs and beaten with my brother, by the stepfather, and then sexually abused. And then I went from at 18, the predator who sexually abused me was still around around me. And so I was trying to escape that. And I moved in with a man who said, I will protect you. And then from there, he abused me and cheated on me. And then I moved again. And as soon as I got out of that relationship, went to a relationship about 2 months after being separated or, yeah, separated, divorced. About 2, 3 months later, I was in a relationship where I was emotionally abused. So when I got with my husband, who didn't do any of that, I felt unloved. I didn't understand that what he was offering me was the trueness of what love looked like, the gentleness, the care, the attention. But I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to go back and forward with you and yell. I didn't understand that. That was a completely different language. So I had so many months, probably even years in our relationship where I felt he didn't love me because when I would be upset and I was used to a man raising his hand or raising his voice or talking down about me, he didn't do any of that. So I just felt like he didn't care enough. And
Mm.
I really had to work on my mindset, and I needed a mindset shift. It was nothing he was doing wrong. It was everything that I had experienced in my life up to that point of meeting him.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing. Like if you, this is the way it sort of comes into my mind. You lived in a world where 2 plus 2 equaled 3. And like basically to sort of get you into the realm where 2 plus 2 equals 4. And like it's one of those things, like for the long, like if anyone told you 2 plus 2 equals 4, you're like, no, it doesn't, it equals 3. And you are crazy for actually saying that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what type of sort of like what got you into that sort of mindset where it was like, okay, yeah, no, 2 plus 2 does equal 4, but it must have taken a hell of a lot of time and a hell of a lot of patience to sort of like get around to it. And like this is the thing, like when you're sort of talking about toxic relationships, which just stem from toxic environments, which then basically just leads to toxic lives. Ah, must be a challenge. So when you say like when you met your like your husband and you were like going, oh, okay, right. So when did you like sort of figure the first step of like going, wait a second, like
Yeah.
wait a second, here, this is my moment of enlightenment. Was there
Yeah.
one particular moment, or was it just like, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, about that.
okay, about that? When someone says, well, yeah, about that, there's a story to be told. It's like,
There's a
I
story
got
that
my,
he
I
would
got,
never let me live down. He would never let me live down. And ever so often he brings it up and I'm just like, shut up. You shut up.
it's like, go and
But
tell the story. Shut
it,
up. Tell us.
right, just shut up. Stop doing that. But no, he said he'll say that, well, which I did. I kept going back and forth. So when he came into my life, I feel like it was an accident, but God tells me that there are no accidents. And so we randomly, quote unquote, randomly met. And as soon as we met, it was kind of like that thing where it was like, wow, ooh, he's good looking. And he was like, ooh, he's that chick. But I was with the guy who was emotionally abusive to me. And so I was with this guy for 4 years on and off and had a child by him and was really trying to make it work. And so when but my husband, he really did entice me. And so we decided to exchange numbers, and I broke off with the emotionally abused guy. And so we tried, me and my husband, we tried for about a good 2, 3 months of trying. Was it that long? Maybe, yeah, about 3 months trying to be together and him trying to date me. And it just was so uncomfortable because he was so settled on loving me, and I didn't understand that. And he was the first one to say he loved me, and I was just like, oh,
I love you, girl. Stop that.
yeah, it was just it. I always was waiting on, and those who have been in horrible situations can, I'm sure, can attest when I say this.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was always waiting on what the catch was, right? I was waiting on him to say, "Hey, little girl, here's a little candy," and then switching his hand like I had had my entire life. up to that point. So I was always I was very hesitant. And he wanted me to meet his family and he wanted me to meet his children. And I just was like, hold on, this is just too fast for me. And so he says, I found a way to break it off. And so, and it could be true. And so that I found a reason. To me, it was a valid reason, but I found a reason and we wound up getting into an argument. And for me, it wasn't a matter of this is an argument. For me, it
Mm.
was, it's over. And again, it's because that's what I was used to. I was used to extremes. I wasn't used to working through a situation. I was used to begging for a man to stay with me. I was used to that. I was used to a man cheating on me and it being a huge uproar, but I wasn't used to two people coming together and trying to work out their differences. And so for me, I said it's over. And what did I do? I went back to what was comfortable, which was the emotionally abusive person. And so I stayed with that emotionally abusive person for 6 months, and we were actually planning to get married. And when we were planning to get married, 2 months before the wedding, he decided that he wasn't ready to get married. And if he would not have said that he didn't want to get married, I'm sure my story would be so different. And when he decided that he did not want to be married, and we had went through a relationship for 4 years on and off, had a child, there was nothing else to do. And so I decided at that point that it was time to leave the relationship. And I remember my husband telling me that no matter what happened between us, he would always be there for me. And so on the same day that I had decided I was going to move out, um, of the guy, when I said I was going to move out,
Yeah.
I called my friend or my old boyfriend, my husband, and said, "Remember, you said you'd always be there for me. Well, I could use a friend," and we have been together ever since. We have been together ever since. But my moment of where I felt like, you know what, this is for real and I better not screw up, is when we were in the relationship, probably about a good year. And I was doing these heavy ups and downs, up and
Mm.
down, because my undercurrent was depression and anxiety. And I did not realize that. And so I would have these emotional outbursts and not knowing how to have a conversation and always thinking that we were going to be over. And I remember one day we got into this horrible argument and we met after we both got off of work. We met in this parking lot and we sat in his car. And it was the first time somebody sat me down and talked to me and said, "This is not normal. What we're doing is not normal. The way we argue is not normal. I'm not used to this. I don't argue. I don't yell. I'm not that type of a person. And it seems like that's what you want. And I can't give that to you. And I'm just not aggressive like that. So I'm going to have to break up with you and I'm going to have to leave you." And in that moment, in that parking lot, is when I was just like, God, I don't want to lose him. And that's when I realized everything that I had been doing, the way that I had been handling my relationship, the screaming, the yelling, the crying, the emotional manipulation of trying to make him stay or make him see my point, all these toxic, dysfunctional ways that I was acting in my relationship, it had to change. And it did not change overnight, but I knew that it was time to start working on myself and trying to adjust to what normal looked like and just really allowing him to lead me on what normal looked like. But it really was in that moment where we were in that parking lot and I knew, God, please don't let him leave me because I guess I love him. So please don't let him leave
I
me.
guess, I, God, I guess I love him. Like, God, like God looking down, like you guess,
You guess, you think?
you guess. I think so. Oh, stop.
Uh,
It's-
like you think, Fatima, you think? Yeah, he
uh,
was a rider. My husband was a ride or die for real. My husband is my ace coon boom. He is my dog. That is my man. He is the one. He is my soulmate. He is the one. And I would go through the fire for him. And he's been with me from day one. He saw me in the most horribleness that I had been in. I had literally just left another man who had rejected me and he didn't turn me away. And the wonderful thing, I'll give a quick story about my husband is that, and he's just like, he don't like all of that. He don't like all that flair. That's why I'm going to tell it because he don't like none of that stuff. he's so like whatever, and he's so lighthearted, and everything is just cool, and he's so laid back. But when we were not together, when I had broken up with him, and he say I found an excuse to break up with him for 6 months, and when we were not together, Mother's Day came, and I had lost my brother by then, my older brother, and my older brother had been gone for maybe like 8 to 10 years,
Eh,
and
One
yeah,
second. One moment. I've like there's one moment. One moment. One moment.
okay.
Sorry about that. There's someone like one of my neighbors is drilling. I didn't know if you could hear it. Yeah,
No.
like yeah, like if you saw me come back like covered with like in anything, just be like yeah. I went yeah. The drilling stopped. I made the drilling stop. It's like
Right.
it's like there's
Dust
no
on your
more
hands,
drilling. Just like yeah. Just
dust on your nails, and every on your knuckles, saying the drilling stuff.
the drilling stopped. That's like shaking. That's like yeah. I like we've been on this podcast just us talking all this time. It stopped.
All right. Look, I was thinking that with my kids. I was gonna say if I came back with Cheerios on my knuckles, like, the noise stopped. The
Yeah,
noise-
just see one of your kids just wandering in the background, like,
right.
and just fall over.
Like it stopped. We good. We good over here.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt the story about your
No.
husband, but yeah, please continue.
That's okay. No, but he we were broken up. It was probably about 4 months in. We were broken up, and Mother's Day came, and he knew that my mom had lost her son, and he went to the restaurant that my mom worked at, and told her that he wanted to take her out to lunch. Because he knew that her older son wasn't there, but he wanted to stand in for her, for him, and if she liked, he wanted to take her to lunch. And when she called me and told me, and that was just like, she was like, you need to get back together with him. You need
No,
to get back
you
together.
see, you're doomed right there because, like, yeah, just that, like, your mother,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And he found out, she told him at that time that I was gonna be getting married to somebody else. And but she told him, she was like, I know Fatima, and don't you worry about it. I don't think she's gonna marry him. I just don't think she's gonna marry him. And sure enough, about 2 months later, we wound up not getting married. So it was just it's like I knew that he was a good guy, but I think I felt that he was too good for me because I had never had that before. I had never had somebody to care for me in that way. And
mm,
so, it was different. It was foreign. It was just something I wasn't used to.
yeah. Would you say it was kind of the fact that he saw the true value of who you were as a person, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, warts and all, but
Yeah,
you didn't actually see that sort of value in yourself. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and when he saw that, that made you kind of like uncomfortable because you like he was like, wait, am I? Do I really truly have that value? Do I
Yeah.
really deserve that value?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it was the deserving part. I always felt that I was a good person, because that's a part of self victimization, by the way. And I had to work through that.
Mm.
So, self victimization is I'm a wonderful person. Everybody does these things to me. And so I always felt that I was a good, pure person, right? I was a
It's
good,
like,
pure person, and that all these things are just happening to me. And for a great degree, yes, there were some horrible things that had happened to me that was not my fault. But then there were some decision making that I made that was some horrible decision making. I hadn't gotten to that level yet. So yeah,
mm,
I always felt that, God, I'm just trying to be the best I can be. I'm just a good girl. But as far as did I deserve somebody to love me in that way? Did I deserve somebody to see me jacked up in awe and see beauty? No, I didn't believe that I deserved that. I had never had anybody look at me and see that. And I would even venture to say anybody in my family. Not one person in my family did I feel truly saw me and see that piece of me. My mom, I think she did as much as she could in her own brokenness. She
Mm,
would get the closest to that, but she had her own issues. Beyond that, not any person. So I was not used to anybody looking straight through all the bull crap and saying they love me anyway. And so that was a very strange space to learn to live in, you know. It was a little crazy for me. And so I was very uncomfortable in that setting.
mm. Wow.
Yeah.
You know
It
what?
was-
Like, dairy me, like that sounds like the basis of a Shonda Rhimes sort of like TV show right there. It's like, wow. Like,
yeah, yeah. That's definitely my story, and I'm grateful for it all. You know, because the I don't think it's the victories that have made me. It hasn't been the victories. It's definitely been the things that I've gone through, and somehow have been able to come out of it is what has given me the strength and compassion for other people and discernment, I think, as far as seeing bullcrap coming and knowing, nope, that's bullcrap, right?
mm,
And but also being able to look at somebody and seeing the sadness behind their eyes. I think only somebody who's been through enough stuff can understand what that looks like because they've had it behind their own eyes. And then from there asking God or your higher power, how can you be of service? Like how can God use you to help that person? And so that's where I have pivoted to in my life. God has brought me a mighty long way. He has helped me get through a lot of stuff, and truly I didn't get to a place where I would consider it an immense soul healing process or space. That didn't happen, but for about maybe 2 years ago,
okay.
and so God has truly helped me to get to a place where I am really feeling more free than I ever have in my entire life, and because of that, it's like I just want to be able to help other people experience that same thing.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned yes, God, like
Yeah.
helping, like put you to be of service. Now, would you say, someone said, would you say that produce like writing your book is one of the ways you are putting yourself to be of service to like the community on a greater level?
I would say that when I wrote my book, there was some, I mean, I didn't mean it to be selfish intent, but when I wrote the book, it really was 90% of it about freeing myself. It
Mm-hmm.
was about, for the first time in my life, feeling like I had a voice and that I wasn't afraid to share my voice. And because I had never sat and talked about a lot of the stuff that had happened to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I had touched on it. You can go down a list of things that have happened. Like if somebody's talking about, tell me about your wounds. Okay, well, this happened to me and this happened to me, right?
Mm,
But as far as like diving deep into how it made me feel and how those things broke me and how I felt defeated and how I came through it. For me, that was therapy. That was an extension of therapy. And that was an extension of freedom, also of saying, my name is Fatima. This is my story. Nobody has the right to tell my story but me. And I'm gonna tell it as much as I want and as loud as I want. Why? Because it's my story and I went through it. And I have that right and I have that power. And I'm going to reshape that story and tell about how God brought me out of every single situation and how it was not easy, but yet I survived it. And the emotional survival of it, the emotional freedom that I received out of every single situation as well. So that's really what my primary focus was. But after I wrote it, is when I realized that I can help other people. And
mm,
so then it transitioned to, I'm going to speak for those people who haven't gotten to a place where I'm at. It took me 34 years to get to this place. So maybe it's other people who haven't gotten to that place where they can say, this happened to me and this is how it made me feel. And so I'm speaking for those people. And so if it and then when I started getting the feedback from people, because I was very scared to actually, like, I did it, and then you know how you do something, then you like, ugh.
I'm going to write a book about my experiences. It's a
Right.
great idea. Put it out
Right.
in
And then
Parliament.
you're like, nobody really knew that. And are they still gonna like me? Are they gonna be mad at me? Are they gonna say
Mm,
shame on you? Like all this stuff. I knew more. I really felt in my heart. I knew those people who were going to say that, but those people who were my friends and who liked me, who was pro Fatima on the Fatima team, were
yeah.
they still gonna be on the Fatima team once this happened? And so once I started getting the feedback and people started sharing their stories, I really felt, yes, God, thank you for giving me the strength and the courage and using me as bait, using me and to say that I want to free myself as the bait to help other people. And so it's been a beautiful experience to truly hear people that I've known that I didn't even know went through those type of things, and similar situations, people that I haven't talked to in ages that I just worked with. I literally was just a coworker, and they reached out to me and messaged me and said, I bought your book, and I couldn't believe that your story is my story. It just connected me with people on such a deeper level. I had a aunt reach out to me and apologize and say that she was so sorry that she wasn't there for me during that time in my life and that she didn't realize that all that was happening to me. So the book, although I knew the people who were going to be completely angry at me, as if they had a right to be completely angry at me, I also had people on the other side that were like, it was opening up a door for their breakthrough and for them to look at their own lives in a place and say, what area in my life do I need to get right? And so I'm just so grateful. It has just been like, it's really been a miracle in itself to see how God has used a bunch of horrible moments in my life to free other people. I just think that's crazy. I think it's crazy. But it's crazy cool, but it's crazy because I
No,
just really thought that I'm just a regular person. I'm just somebody who never dreamed. I was somebody who was always just trying to survive. I grew up in Vegas in the hood with a whole bunch of other people who didn't have any dreams for my life. I just wanted to go to sleep and wake up and live another day. And to have gotten to a place where I am 46 years old and I'm living in a place of fulfillment for the first time in my life. And it's not the job that made me feel fulfilled. And it's not my family as much as I love them to death. They couldn't give me that fulfillment. It was me tapping into that horribleness, which was my dirt, which was my life, and having the courage to look at all of it and peel back the layers on how it has damaged my life. And then not stopping there, but saying, now I need to change that story and make it a story of redemption in each area. And coming through on the other side of it, feeling truly freer than I've ever had in my entire life. That's where I found my fulfillment. It was within me. And that is what is so crazy about God and how the universe works. Typically, the way you find fulfillment is within you, but we're always looking for other stuff. And I just think that's amazing.
yeah. No, like this is a thing. Like for you to feel fulfilled, to feel for you to feel like, yes, this has been like a great journey. Like you've done what a lot of people seldomly do, like really sort of holding up a mirror to themselves and having a look. And like when you look into that mirror, not like looking at the sort of, how can I say, the PR version of yourself, like the sort of true sort of version of yourself, which has gone from the bad to the good, to like the pain to the joy, to like the moments where it's you've gone from being either weak or being super strong, and like going, yeah, this is who I am for
Yeah.
all intents purposes at that moment in time. This is everything in life which has brought me to here. This is who I am, and show it to the world. Like there are people which have done that, but they haven't like gone, yeah, you know what, let the world see who I am. Because it's like, how can I put it? I have many a friend who always project this realm of confidence and strength.
Yeah.
But like this has been on male and female when they have entered into, say, a toxic relationship. It's been one of those things which has kind of blown my mind because you are
Mm.
so strong, you are so confident, everything like this. and then to see them ripped asunder, not like that confidence, like that confident, strong person has sort of disappeared into the ether. And like if I sat them down going, okay, yeah, I have a friend, or like I have these people with going through this situation, what would you say to them? Oh, you should do this. They go through the whole list of things. But yet when you like go, what about yourself? They won't do it. They can't do it. And it's like they won't take that good look at themselves. So I commend
Yeah, yeah,
so I
yeah.
commend you for putting your book out there. Like, what is the name of your book? Because you didn't mention the name.
Yeah, it is. The prescription is in the dirt, and it's on Amazon now in Kindle format, also in paperback. And so, the name, the prescription is in the dirt. The dirt is what we've been talking about today. It's
Mm,
about all those different things that we all experience in our lives that can tear us down, man. That you live a little, you go through some stuff, even if it's heartbreak and that you keep getting cheated on, or you broke somebody's heart, just the tumultuous things that we experience in our lives, those things that when we think about them today, we feel some kind of remorse or sorrow or disappointment or anger or sadness when we think on those events. And so that is your dirt. And for me, my dirt was the way that I grew up and the different things that I experienced, and then even to the point of getting into relationships and how that impacted me. That's my dirt. And the thing about dirt is, if we're not careful, it can be just like it is at the grave site. It can cover us and bury us
mm,
alive, and we will be walking zombies. And so we function in life, and we go to work, and we are parts of family, and we are siblings, and we are spouses, and we are parents, but we're disconnected emotionally, and we got chips on our shoulders, and we're easily angered, and we are manipulative, and I can just keep naming the different things that we become because
mm.
we don't deal with that dirt. We don't look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't face our hard truth. And so that's just how we be in our life. And we just say we cover it under, this is just who I am. Like as if that solves it. Like as if that's a way to say, okay, well that's just who you are. And so that's what the dirt can do to you. But also I like to think of the dirt as soil, and how if you allow God or your God, or the universe, whatever you pray to, and yourself, because you got to do the work to go and peel back the layers like an onion on those situations. Why am I so angry? Why am I so manipulative? Why am I so gossipy? Just start why do I have anxiety all the dang time when I get around a certain type of person? You start peeling back the layers on that situation, and you may cry just like an onion. It makes you cry, right? And but you keep going, then God can use that dirt like soil, and some beautifulness can grow from it. And so that is why I named it The Prescription is in the Dirt, because the prescription is there. It's you and your higher power. All you got to do is come together and be willing to look at yourself, face the hard truths, and not just look at them and then say, yeah, I got a big nose, and then walk away. But no, yeah, I got this situation that is huge in my life, and I'm tired of living with this situation, and I need to do something about it because it's affecting every part of my life. People have told me, I've been ignoring it, and it's really time that I change my life. And so that's what my book is. That's why I named it The Prescription is in the Dirt. And that's what it really goes through. It takes the person through my relationships, and shows a lot of the different things that I went through, and how I dealt with different dirt in my life, and how God was an intricate part of that.
Mm. Now, I have to ask, like,
Yeah.
I have to ask, with regards to the soil you are like prepared, like which is prepared right now, what what seeds do you plan to plant over the next few years to see what grows? What harvest do you want at, they say, the end of say 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that because I'm actually walking into that new space now, walking in that new space right now. So I've been through my soul healing journey, and I really do look at it as a soul healing journey because, and not just healing, I look at it on a deeper level because it takes all of you, it takes every piece of you. And when you are unhealthy, it impacts every piece of you, your body, your mind, your soul, everything, you know. And so when you heal, you have to address all that too. So now I'm in a space where I'm helping people to do the same for themselves. I am a transformational speaker. As you can see, I talk a lot. And so that was easy. That was easy to go into. And so having conversations just like this with people and trying to empower them to take up their own cross and handle their own mess, sit in their own mess, and giving them actionable resources, tools that they can literally put to work immediately if they're willing to do the work. Not just motivational talk, because motivation didn't get me nowhere. I needed some tools. And
Mm.
so giving people those action items on this is what you can do. This is what you need to stop. This is what, take these action steps. And then they can go and run with it however they see fit. And so that's what I do in my speaking, but also as a consultant, a transformational consultant. I have a website. It's fatimac.com. And on that website, there are some tremendous resources. There are free resources on there where you can learn to be a good, caring person for somebody who may be going through a heartbreak or dealing with anxiety or depression or just sad.
Mm.
And you want to be a helping hand, but you don't even know how to start. There are resources on there that talks about anger, and if you're wondering if you're an angry person. But I must say, if you're wondering if you're angry, 9 times out of 10 you angry, okay? But if you want to go on the site and pull that document down and fill it out, it is available for
I'm
you.
angry. No.
I'm just saying, you got a bit of a hint. But there are some free resources there that goes into all sorts of different spaces in regards to your emotions and in regards of healing. That is my area, and I try to stick in my lane. That I've also, meanwhile, put together a 7-day journal workbook where you can learn how to journal. People think journaling is just so girly or whatever, but it helps you to process and get your thoughts out, right? Even if it's for 2 minutes. So I give those type of resources, but I also have a space where I can work one-on-one with clients. And so more kind of deep dive type of study guides where they go on for like 8 different study guides, 10 different study guides on different topics that impact your life. And those type of study guides, they can be intense. You can definitely do them by yourself. You don't want to ever talk to me, you can totally go for it. I would encourage having somebody, a safe place to fall, a safe place where you can process. And so I come alongside my clients to help them to process whatever it is that they come away with as they're working through the study guides. So, in that, those are my seeds that I am planting. I am helping people to be empowered to change the trajectory of their life, something I didn't think that I could do. It took me 34 years to get to a place where I believe that I could really change my life, not my hair, not my home, not my car, but my actual life. And so I'm coming alongside people and encouraging them and challenging them to change their life, not just talk about it, let's do it. And
Mm.
so you can go on my website, fatimac.com, and all the resources are there for you to start.
Ah, superb. Loving it. Loving it. Hey, what can I say? Look, I'm liking the fact that you are actually like moving beyond just doing your book and like sort of really sort of helping people getting involved and
Yes.
in helping people find their path, which as you said, it took you 34 years to get on the like what you consider the right path and maybe lead you on to far greater things. If you can sort of like basically turn around and give a helping hand to another person to help lift them up, I always commend that. I always like celebrate that fact because as much as people go, yeah, I'm here to help other people, it sometimes seems in this world that it doesn't seem to roll that way.
Yeah.
And like when someone makes it like makes a positive move in their life. There are either number of people which like I like to do that, but never actually say it. The vast majority, and it like the minority on the negative side, they're the ones sometimes which are like, uh, let me hold that person back because it might come from intentions of good, where it's like, yeah, or intentions of weakness. It's like when it's the good, I'm scared you might fall, so let me hold you back. Uh,
Yeah.
like when it comes to weakness, it's like, you think you're better than me.
Yep.
I don't need that. I'm not gonna let you like get up there. But it's very rare sometimes to go like, oh, you want to go further, do better. Let me give you that hand up.
Yeah.
Let me help
Absolutely.
lift you up. So it's
That's our reasonable service. That's our reasonable service. I feel
mm,
like that's what we are ultimately here to do, to serve in some way or another. But it's I believe it's also aligned to our purpose, and we have to figure out what our purpose is. And once we tap into our purpose, we can help serve more freely and more generously when we're doing our purpose. When we're trying to make something our purpose is when that insecurity and that greed it can come in easier. It can come in with your purpose too, but at least you have a compass to say, wait, girlfriend, wait. This is your purpose, not that over there. So if somebody's over here, chill, you stick with what you're meant to do. And
mm,
so I just think it gives for that opportunity. When you find your purpose, you have that passion. You want other people. You're like, hey, you see me? You can do this too, you know? And
mm,
and so yeah, I just want to see people because now that I'm in that space, and trust me, I still have some things in my life that God is continuing to show me and I'm continuing to work through. I just have better resources now, right? But now you see people who are broken. I'm able to see people clearer and say, oh my God, I could help them so much. I just wish they would let me help them. But ultimately, it comes down to how bad is your want to. And so, we all have an individual responsibility for our own ownership of how our lives are going. And we have to make a decision on what we want to come out of our legacy. That when you die, you on your deathbed, what do you want it to be about? Do you want it to be about getting? Or do you want it to be about that you solved something, you served somebody, and you did it from the goodness of your heart? And not that your heart was all so cluttered up that you couldn't even work from that space. And so that is definitely what I'm trying to offer and trying to allow my kids to be witness to so that they can pick up what they see and not pick up just what I say.
superb, superb. Yeah. Oh, I really do like that. Like, yeah, really do. Now, I've been keeping a secret from you, Fatima.
What?
Like, I am a being of supreme cosmic power. And like, I can give you one wish. Before you say anything, you cannot wish for world peace. You cannot wish for like Corona to be gone. Like, because look, I've already been working on that. And like, yeah, I've had to call on the immense powers of Dolly Parton. And like, look, so like, if I have to do anything else, I've got to say Beyonce in reserve because and like, yeah, and you can't just write down a list of things on a piece of paper and go, I wish everything on this piece of paper comes true. Yeah.
Okay.
And you cannot, like, yeah, you cannot wish for 1,000 more wishes or 1,000,000 more wishes or an infinite amount of wishes as well. Like someone cheeky last time do that.
Okay.
So, what would your one wish be?
I would wish that God would expand my territory, that He would expand my territory, meaning that He would bless me with influence so that I'm able to help more people and that more people would be exposed to what I'm trying to offer, and that they can see that it's not for selfish gain, that I really am trying to help, and that would open the door. Just me wanting to help would open the door for the influence to grow, and honestly, so that more people can be exposed to what God is doing um, through me and to me. And I think that that He should get all the glory and that He should get all. the praise, and this is awesome. I recognize that my life could have went so differently, and I know people whose life has went so differently, and I'm so grateful to carry this cross and to carry his name across my lips and to be able to tell this story. And I pray that God continues to use me, and in that my territory expands so that other people are blessed by what I have to share.
Okay. No, I shall see what I can do about working on that for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Like when you, no, I got to say, I was a little bit nervous there when you went expand my territory. I was like, oh no, like, oh no.
Yeah.
She's
Like,
using
what's
it for
that
what?
mean?
Yeah, she was like, oh no, she's using it for a warm footing. It's like going
Yeah.
6 months
Sorry,
from now.
my speech betrays me, bro. It's just like, sorry, it's gonna come out that way.
Yeah,
I'm a God chick. I'm a God
yeah.
kid, so it's gonna come out like
Oh,
that.
it was like expand my territory. I was like, oh no, we're invading Russia.
Right?
it's
We taking over.
like,
We
ah.
taking over. Yes, but that just that that God expands that influence. So yeah, but I'm so grateful to have been able to have this time for you. This was awesome. And this was fun. It was worth getting up. It was worth getting up at 5 something in the morning to be here with you.
Yeah, it was glad. I'm glad to have you here today. Yes, it was an excellent conversation. Now, I've got to say thank you for coming on today. But before you go, please tell the lovely people out there how they can reach you, how they can communicate with you over the World Wide Webs.
Yes. Well, I'm definitely on social media, so you can hit me at LinkedIn and on Instagram and on Facebook as Fatima C. Oliver. You can also find me at my website and just send me a message. And WhatsApp is connected to WhatsApp, so you can send me a direct message from my website, fatimac.com. But yeah, those are. I think everybody lives there now on social media: Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm even on Reddit. I'm on Reddit.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely you can hit me up, and I'll message you back. Or if you want to have a conversation, you want to set up some time with me, you can go to my website, fatimac.com, and schedule some time with me also.
Ah, excellent, excellent. Fatima, thank you for coming on today. You have been a star, a superstar.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I really do. You're
uh,
my family now. We're extended family now.
yes, like you see, now you're back up to five. It's like five now.
Yes,
It's like there
yes,
you go. Yeah.
yes.
ah,
Absolutely.
excellent. I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors. Please stay safe, stay well, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic, be all the positive bees you can be in this world, and then some. Have a great day, guys. Yes. Peace. And we are.